My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. Today is Thursday, April 10, 2025, and this is our Close Quarters, your daily news blitz in 15 minutes. And we start with Chuck Schumer complaining about something. What is he complaining about? About Donald Trump, of course. He's saying that Trump is now in retreat. About the 90-day tariffs pause. It says that Trump is retreating. This is according to Chuck Schumer, because Democrats in the Senate and the House and the American people have said, stop playing games with these tariffs. You think it's a game. You think it's like a red light, green light game. It's like Squid Game, right? No, it's not. It's chaos. And the damage you have done already, despite today's announcement, is permanent and real and deep. You're throwing our whole economy out of kilter. You're telling business people and consumers to not spend because they don't know what the heck is coming up next. What you're doing, Donald Trump, is hurting the American people as you play games. Like he was with his PlayStation or something like that. Whatever pops into your head the next hour, the next day, the next week is what you say we're doing with the tariffs. And then constantly contradict each other, make no sense, harm the American economy, and worst of all, American families. But then the last thing I saw, everything was green, everything was doing great. And well, I think that what happened after Trump tweeted, this is a great time to buy, and 3 hours later, he announced that he was going to raise China's tariffs to 125% and put this 90-day pause on everyone else, leaving that 10% because, anchoring in high tariffs and then lowering them to 10%. That is persuasion. Then stocks absolutely exploded and everybody was happy, or at least, most important, the ones who bought the dip, the ones who were awake when Trump said, it's a good time to buy on Truth Social. Yeah, and people are losing their minds. CoffeeZilla already did a video about this. Is this insider trading? We don't know. It depends if everybody is inside. It's a very big difference if everybody is inside. And Adam Schiff is another one who is flailing his arms into the air. Thanks to Mace Moore that we have this great comparison of Adam Schiff before and after. Make sure to follow Mace on X, and this video is gold.
He's wrecking our economy. I think people have seen their retirement savings on fire, and there he is out on the golf course. That may end up being the most enduring image of the Trump presidency. That is the president out on a golf cart while people's retirement is in flames. It will be the Trump recession. He will completely own it. This is a completely self-destructive economic act that he's engaged in. I'm writing to the White House to demand who knew in advance that the president was going to once again flip-flop on tariffs, and are people cashing in?
Yeah, people cashing in. And who is the people cashing in? He's going to investigate. He has said, I'm going to analyze on my body language guy channel, this guy's body language, Adam Schiff's body language, talking that he's going to send this letter to the White House to demand an explanation at how are you doing this kind of grift, this massive insider trading. This is not insider trading at that scale. We should investigate what's going on, and he should start buying Nancy Pelosi. And Adam Schiff wants to look into insider trading in the White House. Nancy Pelosi has had a 700% return on her stock picks over the last decade. Maybe start there instead. That is a nice pitch. Thanks, C3C3, for this one. Well, there are very clever people in the White House as well. And there's Caroline Leavitt saying this is a major burn for all the woke libtards. Trump press secretary doesn't engage with reporters using pronouns in emails, says they deny reality. So if you're a journal and you send an email to Caroline and you happen to include he, him, he, she, he, it, that nonsense, you're not getting a reply. She's going to ignore you. Maybe she's going to send you to the libtard folder, maybe not spam folder, because you had the opportunity to not include your pronouns in your email, so Caroline can finally answer and reply to you. That is fair. That she's giving you the opportunity to go full common sense, and that would be great. That is important. That's giving people the chance. And also, She had this massive mic drop. Caroline Leavitt ends questions with reporters with a major mic drop. We finally have a president here at the White House who is playing the long game, who is doing what is right for the American worker. And many people agree that this is the long game. And the long game is worth fighting for. And many people are also happy with Scott Bessent. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent is not backing down on China, by the way. He says delisting Chinese stocks from American exchanges is firmly on the table. This would be awesome to watch. Such a move would trigger a wave of investor sell-offs and cut Chinese firms off from U.S. capital, likely forcing many to flee to markets like Hong Kong. It comes as the economic war between the U.S. and China intensifies, with Beijing firing back by slapping a 84 tariff on American goods. And Trump went full Judge Dredd, saying, do not retaliate. Do not retaliate and everything will be fine. And what did China do? What did China do? Retaliate. So there you have it. And the European Union is not far behind. I think maybe they will fold today. Maybe today we'll say, hey, you know what? That those retaliatory tariffs that we were talking about, that was just bluffing. We're just bluffing. It's an European Union thing to be bluffing about things. Like, we don't mean that. It's like being fair and square. Actual justice in the UK. This is something that a fairy tale, right? It comes as the economic war between the U.S. and China intensifies. China on face says it's ready to handle any and all uncertainties in the escalating showdown, but they want to know how Trump is going to react to this. What is Trump going to do next? But nobody knows. That's the thing. It's like nobody had any idea whatsoever what Trump was going to do. Like, there was an impossible leak. Maybe nobody outside of Trump knew about this. He should have advisors. He should have people that tell him, hey, we should do this and such and such and such. But for some reason, there were no leaks. And speaking of leaks, you remember the anonymous leaker in the Trump White House? They wrote a book called Warning, full of lies and info from the White House. And his name was Miles Taylor. Trump just revoked his clearance, referred him to the Department of Justice, and said he committed treason. So, F around, find out if you are begin to leak, if you are going to leak and, well, put the interests of America at stake, in danger, then you're going to pay for it greatly. And also, this is important. This is important for so many people on the left, for our dear libtards. New President Trump has signed an executive order eliminating Barack Obama's regulation on water pressure, which, according to the White House, ends the war on showers. So finally, our friends who are, all day for hours being paid to protest against Donald Trump, against Elon Musk, they will be able to return back home and take a proper shower. And even if you don't protest Elon Musk, even if you're not on the street holding signs that you have no idea what they mean, you can take a shower because we know you are a Democrat. You take a shower, once a week, or maybe twice a week if you are feeling fancy. No, you can shower more frequently than that. Finally, at last, there's no problem. You will have actual water in your shower, actual pressure. And people of course, having a meltdown over this. Peter Baker said the world economy is gyrating wildly, war rages in Ukraine and Gaza, and the President of the United States just signed an executive order titled Maintaining Acceptable Water Pressure in Shower Heads. But again, why are you triggered about this? This is something that has to be done. Chris Barron, the same reporters who had no problem with Biden inviting topless trannies to the White House while the world burns, suddenly think that an executive order is problematic. What an absolute clown show. And speaking of clowns, some clowns have been invited to the White House and they are behaving, they are behaving the way the way that they should have behaving from the start. Thanks to Brianna Morello, Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer is visiting the White House. She visited the White House to what? It's unclear whether President Donald Trump discussed with her releasing the political prisoners jailed in connection to her fake kidnapping scheme. And you can see from her body language, and I'm going to analyze her body language as well in my Body Language Guide channel. Big fish. Actually, Gretchen Whitmer, working with both parties to save a military base in a depressed state like Michigan, should be a win. She knows, though, that being praised by Trump in the Oval Office will send her lunatic base off the cliff. And yes, Trump just did that. Trump praised Gretchen Whitmer. We're going to see that on my Body Language Guide channel. This hurts her in 2028. Trump knew this too. And well, yeah, Gretchen Whitmer in the Oval Office playing nice wasn't on anybody's bingo card today.
Has this gotten into any of the other lakes yet? Because you would think it would be pretty easy because they're all sort of connected. Governor?
It's why we're working so hard to make sure that, we work with the Army Corps and erect a barrier so that the Asian carp can't get into Lake Michigan. It'll devastate the ecosystem, the economy, tourism, and it's 20% of the world's fresh waters in the Great Lakes, Mr. President, which is why it's so important that as a nation we protect the pristine waters. Yep.
And, all of a sudden, I assume the lakes are all interconnected, right? Yeah. So at some point they're going to be in the other lakes. And
again, we're going to be looking at that body language shortly. So what else do we have here? We have something that I needed to share with you. Something that happened on CNN, something that was totally unexpected, but it was fun to watch nonetheless. Somebody misgender a person on CNN. On CNN, watch this.
Paul, we're back with Senator Bernie Sanders. I want to introduce Grace Thomas. She's a local civil rights attorney. She's a Democrat. Grace?
They, them pronouns, actually. Thank you.
Oh.
Good evening, Senator Sanders.
Oh, my God. Anderson Cooper, your job is in danger. So what did we have in the past 24 hours? We had this complete obliteration of the narrative of what is going on in the United States in terms of business, in terms of economics. Yeah, some people are being a bit stressed, especially if you had your business outsourced, if you have the labor outsourced to China, you will be suffering. We already know that Apple sent like what? I don't know how many $1 billion worth of iPhones in various emergency trips on planes from China, and it's an actual thing. So many people are saying that, okay, you were just drop shipping. Drop shipping is the business that you fulfill. It says that you take the orders inside the United States, but those sales are fulfilled from outside, namely China. And if your products that you let's say that you process in the United States come from China, you have to pay the tariffs for that. I'm going to talk in this channel later about some of those scenarios, but I guess that in the long run, and this is important, this is something that the market will correct itself. It's like you cannot expect an economy that has been battered and outsourced for years, that suffers so much under the Biden administration, that has been so infiltrated by China, not only in terms of economy, but buying farmland in the United States. And my question is, why is China buying farmland in the United States? We will be addressing it right here in the Power Pundit as well. But I would like to know what you think about this in the comments. My name is Jesus Enrique Rosas. I'm the Power Pundit. Much love and bliss.